The most terrifying thing about growing up isn't that your world changes, it's that you yourself change as well. We all like to pretend that youth is
Even
this
though I look like
beautiful
a burnt
nostalgic
chicken
phase,
nugget.
like the way it's always portrayed in funny coming-of-age movies or shown in animes, where the biggest problem is a high school crush or passing a chemistry quiz. But in reality, it often feels like a slow burning pressure cooker. Beneath the surface of fitting in, there is a quiet, brewing anxiety born from a generation that is simply expected to conform to a world they didn't create. Hi, welcome to the show, it's Aiden Craft, and today we are checking out one of my favorite horror games of all times, Silent Hill F. I want to state that this isn't going to be a standard video essay like Silent Hill 2, nor 3, nor any of the games we made beforehand, because unlike those games that predate Silent Hill F, this is a more profound, devastating focus on a generation's isolation and the radicalization of those afraid. In many interviews following the release of Silent Hill F, lead creator Ryukishi07 has emphasized that the game's generational horror is less about a historical critique. Instead, it is more about a clash of misaligned values across the eras of Japan. Rather than learning solely on the monsters of the game, Ryukishi07 designed the world around the concept of inherited hells. This is where trauma, repression, and social expectations flow quietly from one generation to the next. Well, to understand the root of generational anger, we have to look at the social mask these children have to wear, and the exact moment their identity is wiped out blank. If you want to understand what makes Silent Hill F so uniquely terrifying, you have to look past the typical horror stuff entirely. Instead, you need to focus on the reality that Hinako is actually facing. On the surface, she is just an ordinary student navigating the rigid, traditional lifestyle of a 1960s Japanese town. But beneath all of that, Hinako is carrying a quiet, heavy isolation that is actively tearing her apart. And it all starts with the people who are supposed to be there, her friends. Instead of finding a safe space, Hinako is constantly treated as an afterthought by her friends. She is neglected and subjected to social alienation. Her friends mock her. They label her close friendship with Shu as weird, unable to comprehend a bond that doesn't fit into their neat conventional norms. They even call her manly, as a weaponized insult to the fact that our society demands them to be mannered and perfectly delicate. This is a massive reflection of the traditional system-oriented lifestyle of mid-century Japan. It is a culture built entirely on a broken structure by crushing individual identity. You are expected to just blend in and do as you're told and to never step out of line. And the pressure doesn't just stop with her friends. The pressure is in her room, right into her fractured family. While Hinako's sister tries to help her and serves as a rather positive light, the rest of the household is an emotional mess. Her family is under the weight of financial ruin and near poverty. In a society that constantly puts an importance on a family's financial status, this will carry dishonor to her family's name. Hinako has a deep disdain for her father, viewing him as a weak man who bent down to a broken system. More complicated, however, is her relationship with her mother, as Hinako feels resentment towards her as well. And in a dark way, Hinako's character doesn't feel a shred of shame for hating her own mother. It is through her private writings of defiance she is able to express these thoughts against a household that expects her to be a grateful, passive daughter. But the final, sickening fate that lies for Hinako is, of course, the arranged marriage. To save the family from their financial collapse, Hinako is sent away into a forced engagement. In the dream sequences of the game, we encounter the mysterious fox mask, which, in my opinion, represents the faceless transactional stranger she is being forced to marry, grooming her slowly by giving out supportive messages and even being seen helping Hinako kill her enemies. The painful reality of the arrangement is atrocious. Her family, her identity, and her self-worth are treated as currency to balance a family debt. When you spend every waking second undergoing this level of social fakeness, like being rejected by your friends, resentful of your parents, or even being sold off to marriage, your true self, your soul, will cease to exist. And this is where I find all the monster designs to be so unique. There is a famous Japanese saying that The eyes are the windows to the soul. But when you take a look at all the monsters in Silent Hill F, none of them seem to really have eyes. And that's the truly creepy part. It is as if they are completely soulless, hollowed out and bound to the crushing schemes of a pressured society. The missing eyes aren't just there to look scary, they represent an ultimate consequence of the system. If you let the entire world erase your identity, you eventually lose the very thing that makes you yourself. As previously mentioned in the opening, there is a total discord between the generations in Japan. Some generations have completely bent to the will of society because they felt they had no other choice. And because they survived their exhausting, ordinary lifestyle, they expect the youth to quietly subjugate to the same process as well. Hence, the youth are suffocating. And this silent friction is why some Japanese anime is so obsessed with a specific type of character personality. Well, if you look at some animes, they often self-integrate their generational frustration into an extreme and explosive protagonist, like Kaneda from Akira, actively participating in bike races and vandalism, or Eren Yeager from Attack on Titan, refusing to let his freedom be stolen. These characters represent the ultimate dream of a generation wanting to violently break out of their cage. But some anime characters definitely do not belong to this archetype. For example, there is Shinji from Evangelion. Shinji is written to be a quiet, anxious character and of course, deeply isolated. He doesn't really want to fight the angels, he only gets into the Eva because others demand it, weaponizing his guilt to force him into subjugation. Kinda resembling another character, huh? He is the perfect mirror for Hinako. They are teenagers completely crushed under the weight of others' expectations, forced to obey orders, while they themselves are collapsing from total helplessness. This is where Silent Hill F acts as a massive social commentary, and it is of course due to the lack of proper mental health programs in Japan. Even within Asian countries till this day, mental illness is still ever increasing. It really is an unfortunate reality. Instead of receiving help, kids are usually taught to simply toughen up, or just to be isolated and alone. And without a system to heal their minds, their untreated trauma is left to fester in the dark, laying down the perfect, tragic foundation for a brutal nightmare to take over. Now, I would like to highlight a part of the game that I find most interesting, and it takes place during one of the dream sequences. After Hinako survives the grueling trail of monsters in the hill forest part of the game, she is suddenly ambushed by a mysterious severed arm. Once again, she is forcefully transported into a nightmare realm, being led by the mysterious Fox Mask character, the person previously established as a projection of her future husband. This time, Hinako finds herself trapped fighting monsters in a large labyrinth. It resembles a dark dungeon, yet it is unsettlingly decorated with strange mundane home furniture. In this labyrinth, the Fox Mask repeatedly tells her that they need to complete the ritual. This ritual is a terrifying 3-step process of psychologically dismantling and a bit of irony into the game mechanics as well. It is designed to completely erase Hinako's previous identity, forcing her to change into an obedient adult who exists solely to follow orders and comply with societal norms. It is a ritual meant to absorb her into the Fox clan, reshaping her personality to fit into her husband's family legacy. The first phase requires Hinako to violently saw off her arm. This is the sacrifice of her childhood. By replacing her arm with a beastly silver fox arm, she relinquishes her biological humanity to become a literal tool for the clan. And the irony of this ritual is in the gameplay mechanics themselves. The game gives the arm the power to destroy enemies with a massive attack damage without even needing to hold another weapon. This kinda represents a toxic promise that society often offers. If you sacrifice your true self and submit to the system, you will be rewarded with status and more influence. But it is a total lie. This strength doesn't come from her own growth. It is a power that only exists to serve the very clan, proving that she can only protect herself by using the exact tool forced onto her body. The next phase comes the branding of the Fox clan symbol directly onto Hinako's back, making the message clear. Hinako is no longer considered an independent human being. Agonizingly, the brand is casted on her back, completely out of her own line of sight. This shows how this is purely structural. It is a weight forced upon her from behind, driven by a faceless family and tradition that she cannot even look directly in the eye. In the game, this branding acts as a little keycard that she can now unlock doors marked with the Fox Clan symbol. And the rooms themselves aren't particularly anything too, just filled with the usual mundane home furniture and a few items for Hinako to collect. She's only granted access because she is marked as a property of the new family. Every new door she unlocks isn't an escape route, it's just a deeper layer of the labyrinth she's been absorbed into, which we will now go on into the final phase. This requires Hinako's face to be violently peeled and fused into her own fox mask. A permanent erasure of her own individual expression, she is now forced to forever wear a fake face for her husband's family and society. We can actually understand this better by looking at another character, Hinako's sister Junko. Junko has already walked down this path. She left home, married, and became a housewife. We do not know how she is treated by her husband behind closed doors. But that's the thing, isn't it? She hides it behind the mask, and we will never know. Putting on the fox mask grants Hinako to see hidden paths right through the walls. The mask allows her to see through everything except the one thing that actually matters most, herself. The vision is exactly what the new family clan wants her to see. If you look closely at the walls, they are covered in specific patterns, most likely placed there by the Fox Clan. The mask doesn't give her freedom. It forces her to look at what the Fox Clan wants her to see. It creates a cruel illusion of free choice. The game makes you feel like you are independently discovering secret paths and uncovering the truth, but in reality, it's all just a facade. Defeating the labyrinth section and completing the ritual isn't just a moment of victory for Hinako, it is a total devastating submission. By the time you step out of the dream sequence, the transformation is absolute and complete. You aren't playing as a hero who conquered the grueling nightmare, you are playing as part of the system, wrapped in a stolen identity and looking at a world through a fake, broken smile. The game gives you all this power but leaves you completely all alone, proving that in a society obsessed with conformity, the price of survival is the death of your soul. When you take a step back and look at the complete game, Silent Hill F stops just being another game in the franchise. It really is a tragic story about what happens when an entire generation is trapped in a cage of tradition and silence. The real horror isn't the foggy town, nor the horrifying monsters wandering about. The true horror is the system of society that led to those monsters to exist in the first place. The social fakeness, the toxicity against mental health, the broken families, and the cold isolation of an arranged marriage. We live in a world that loves to romanticize youth as this perfect golden age, but for people like Hinako, it could feel like hell. And when you don't give them the proper care nor the mental health guidance to figure out who they are, that pressure will just find a way to tear them down. Hinako's tragedy is that her only choice was to let the trauma completely boil down inside of her, transforming her own body and soul into a dark, chaotic monster that just reflects a version of herself that she does not know. And if you are struggling with your own personal Silent Hill, always know that you can escape it, but it takes self-reflection, courage, and hope. It's never too late. Just don't doubt yourself and others around you that care about you. Thanks for watching the show. It's been a grueling process to make this video, but I'm actually super proud of it. Nonetheless, it's been AidenCraft and I'll see you in the next video.